We will call to order the regular board meeting for the Board of Election Commissioners for the City of Chicago. Good morning. My name is Maricel Hernandez. I'm the chairwoman. Seated to my left is Commissioner Jonathan Swain, and to my right is Commissioner William Cressy. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda. Are there any changes, edits? If none, we'll move forward with the approval of the board meeting minutes of November 8, 2016. We could take them one by one. The 7 a.m. Meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The next minutes are for the board meeting of November 8th at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And the last is for the board meeting of November 14th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Gott.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Woman, sorry.
You did
just
say
the-
Madam Chair.
It's not a long day. Just to let you know, we haven't finished this election. We've already started on the 4th Ward Special Aldermanic election. We had 5 people file yesterday. We've already received requests for extended hours this weekend, so we'll be working this weekend. We're already started checking petitions, so it's going to be that time of the year again. So. But everything's going well. The mail is coming back now, but I looked at some of them, they haven't been stamped. So I think the post office turned off the cancellation, figuring the election was over with. So we're still looking at that. I've made a phone call and they'll start it back up, but it'll go down again next week. So just to let the board members know. The post office wants to come, the folks from Washington, D.C. want to come in and meet with us. So I'll let you know when they come in.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But everything else seems to be going well.
And today is the last day by which any mail ballots can be received by the board.
Yes.
And counted.
Yes.
Right?
We also, provisional ballots should be finished downstairs. Mr. Holliday's working on that in the lower level. Dawn is going to run her last run on the 400C. Everything seems to be going well.
Great. Thank you. If there are no other questions, we'll go to the Communications Director, Mr. Allen.
Good morning, Commissioners. The various staff members have been working very hard. There's a public perception that Election Day is pretty much the end of it. And as we all know, it just keeps rolling along with vote by mail, provisional ballots, canvassing, community services in the warehouse, and the computer staff are all out there performing the 5%, which is a very time intensive, difficult to focus on type of task because it's a very cumbersome effort to go through each one of those ballots that were cast, particularly on the touch screens, and to record all those correctly by hand. So a lot of staff have been through continuing to work every day, all through this past weekend, for example, in several departments. We've received a number of positive feedback from voters regarding the vote by mail system. This is the first time that we had fully implemented an email that went out to each voter to alert them that we'd received their application, then another email to say that we processed their application, and then a third email to indicate that we had received their completed ballot. So voters were really impressed, and the numbers were just astounding. With we had more returns as a percentage of the overall applications than ever before. So in spite of the issues we're starting to see again with the Postal Service overall, people were reporting that they would return the ballot on Tuesday and they would receive that email from us that their ballot was here Thursday. So it went pretty well with nearly 90,000 ballots turned in. out of the 106,000 or 103,000 that were applied for.
Great. That's wonderful. Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen. Next item on the agenda is old business and infrastructure projects and changes in election administration, and we will be dealing with that shortly. Electronic poll books, I think.
Seemed to work well.
It did work
We've
well.
found some that came back with their screens cracked, but it seemed to work very well.
Okay.
And the media view worked well?
The media view
Yeah.
worked exceptionally well
Right.
for the first time, really, really well. So we gave that out to a few outlets as the day progressed, and we felt confident that the data were coming back cleanly. But it was very valuable in finally being able to help us answer really well what's turnout. That's the biggest question while voting is going on. So that was a feather in the cap of the vendor.
Exactly.
Can we just stop for a second? Mr. Ryan is here from
We were
ES&S.
just discussing.
My apologies.
That's
That's
okay.
all right. Would you please comment on what you saw on election day?
Sure. Obviously, we were very pleased with how the poll books operated this election. The Verizon jetpacks as well, the new ones, both performed really well. The connectivity, both in the morning for the smart update, was extremely reliable and operated very efficiently. And connectivity stayed up through the course of the day in a very high percentage of the precincts. Over 95% of them were online all day, which is great. Both for taking new registrations and getting them into the system, but also for keeping an eye on things like, are they running on battery power? We were able to troubleshoot and make phone calls in advance of batteries running out and things of that nature. So being online all day was extremely helpful. And we got to see the statistics roll in, turnout,
Right.
and things of that nature. So we were very pleased. The board is very pleased, but it was a really good election.
I think we were all very pleased with the performance, and I guess I just keep thinking of new ways we can, to utilize the information and see how we can just improve the performance and based on what we saw this election.
Yeah, and your staff obviously worked very diligently and tirelessly on preparing both the version control, Ms. Lewicki and her staff, getting the screens designed and the workflow the way it would work best for the city. She worked very hard on that with her team. And then obviously the warehouse did a fantastic job of prepping the units. And we know that by the percentage of fallout, it was 1/100th of 1% fallout. That means the units were very well prepared by the warehouse staff and making sure that they're ready for delivery. So just very pleased all the way around.
Well, thank you, Judd.
Yes,
appreciate it.
definitely, especially when you consider some of those pre-election reports that are coming out about disruptions in systems around the country, that the system here in Chicago was running, should give real confidence to the voter that all the votes were counted and the systems do work here.
Yes, and also, your training department and the poll workers, they did a great job. This is not an easy thing to deal with, to take a system, bring it up, get it online, and be able to register people, based on the limited training that poll workers receive and how often they do this job. They should be commended as well. I think they did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next on the agenda is voting equipment, and I think we're going to be dealing with that as well shortly. And legislation, Mr. Scanlon.
Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners, I think as I reported to you earlier, the the governor had vetoed the automatic voter registration bill. The Senate voted last week to override the governor's veto. That bill now moves to the House. I believe the House is scheduled for a vote on an override for next Tuesday. And in the meantime, there were some bills that I forwarded along to each of you, introduced by Republican legislators with a little bit different twist to automatic voter registration, but they both accomplish the same goals with some differences. But it seems likely that there will be some form of automatic voter registration going into the future. And so I'll report as any new developments arise.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is new business, and we have a revised 2017 election information pamphlet and calendar. Mr. Scanlon?
Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners, the board had earlier issued a 2017 election information pamphlet and calendar, and this revision does a couple of things. The most important thing is that it adds an entry for Monday, February 13, 2017, for the first day of early voting at permanent and temporary polling place locations designated by the board. February 13th is the 15th day before the election. We did have an entry for January 19th that referred to the 40th day commencement of early voting in the office of the board, but we did not have an equivalent entry for early voting at permanent sites. So this adds an entry for the 15th day commencement of early voting at permanent sites. And the board has indicated that there's going to be one site for early voting in the 4th Ward, and early voting also be conducted here at the board's office. And so beyond that, there's also some language that would provide information in the preface with regard to lawyer referral services and how Chicago Bar Association can be contacted for lawyer referral service information. And finally, it deletes an entry on page 18 regarding the commencement of the term of office for any person who is elected to fill a vacancy. The original entry was based upon the statutory commencement of a term of office for newly elected aldermen. Since this is an election to fill a vacancy, conceivably the person who is elected can take the oath of office and assume office as soon as he or she is certified as a winner by the Board of Election Commissioners. So we've deleted that entry. So those are the changes that are included in this revised election calendar, and I would recommend the board adopt and approve.
If there are no other questions, is there a motion to adopt and approve the revised 2017 election information pamphlet and calendar?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes, and the revised 2017 election information pamphlet and calendar is approved and adopted.
Thank you.
Mr. Scanlon, is there a legal report for today?
Unless the commissioners have any questions, I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay. And there is no financial report?
No, not at this.
And is there any public comment? I did not receive any papers. Is there a need for executive session?
No, Madam Chair.
If there is none, then is there a motion to adjourn until our special board meeting of next week, November 29th at 9 a.m.?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.